Hello, everybody. It is time to stamp. It's that time of the week that we get to come together and do a little bit of stamping and creating, get our creative juices flowing and going, and just have some good times with our favorite hobby. So as soon as I see somebody pop on, I will begin officially. But for right now, oh, there's two. There's my cue. As always, once I see a few people on, I'm ready to officially begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to my favorite stamp class of the month. This is Technique Time. And today's class is all about the Legendary Ride bundle. So tell me who's, do pop on, say hello. Hopefully those comments will populate a little sooner than they have in the past. But I see my mom is on, and Kat says, hi, Liz. Okay, so Kat's on. So we've got the comments are working. Sometimes they work and then they slow down and then they catch up and all that good stuff. So Kat and my mom, I'm not sure who number 3 and 4 are. But anyhow, so let's begin. And I'm going to give my camera a little spin down so you can see my work surface, and we will get started with today's business, and then we'll be on for stamping. Okay, so here's the hand. I know you love it. Okay, let's see what we have here. Straighten things up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to kill one of my lights here in hopes that it helps with the shadows. Pump a little more light this way. Okay, so moving right along. Next week, there is no class because I will be on vacation. And the week after that, there will be no class. But never fear, because we still will have 4 classes in June. Our first class in June will be the Upstyle Your Exploring in Color Paper Pumpkin Kit. It will be on Thursday, June 8th. Hello, Kathleen. Good to have you here. So Paper Pumpkin will be a week later. This is going to be a week later just because everything's a little different this week and with our next class because of my vacation. But anyhow, we're going to an Alaska, we're going on an Alaska cruise. So that'll be a lot of fun. Anyhow, so Paper Pumpkin, June 8th, that's going to be a good one. And then Use It Up in June is going to be about the Countryside Corners suite collection. And so in the suite, there's papers, which if you've earned a Use It Up kit, you'll see some of those papers. There's a stamp set. There are these fabulous dies right there, so I'll be using those. And there's also a great embossing folder that does match the paper. So good morning, Eunice. Good morning, Valerie, as well. I'm so happy you guys are here. So do you need to have exactly what I'm using? No, you could easily bring your own, a suite collection that you have and completely just use your items and stamp along with me. It doesn't have to be exactly what I'm using, So that will be June 15th. Our pickup class in June is going to be Pansy Patch, and that will be June 22nd. And so there are matching dies for this. If you remember way back when, I think it was May of 2020, that was my first Studio Ink spots, and we used the Pansy Patch collection. We focused on that. So that's coming up. And then I'm super looking forward to this, Timeless Arrangements. The dies, I don't have them with me. They're on my stamp desk. But this bundle is fantastic. And it's one of those really cool ones where you can mix and match the greetings and come up with your own sayings. And so that will be a lot of fun. And then the dies, there are dies that do cut these images out, but then there are also these other dies that fit perfectly behind all these label dies that are in the bundle itself. So that's going to be good fun. Jackie can't wait for this class, this one, Jackie. And Kat says she loves to use the pansy, is going to love to use that pansy set again. Yeah, it's been a while, so it's time. That set needs some ink and some love. Okay, so let me just clean up my stash of announcements here and bring in this week's class. And I'm just going to run to the door over here. Libby wants to go outside. She's staring at the door. Her nose, like, right on the door. Okay.
Libby, come.
She's outside. Okay. So Newell was trying to put her out, but she came my way instead. Okay. So this is this week's set bundle that we are working with. And you guys, I think this is the coolest set of stamps. And here are my dies in my magnetic little holder here. I've heard a lot of people, oh, I don't do motorcycles. Nobody in my family does motorcycles. Well, do people in your family do flowers? I mean, are they florists? You know, are we, you know, I think they're just kind of cool to look at. I personally am not a motorcycle person, but I do have 2 in my garage right here and several more in the barn. But it's just nice to have something to reach for that is a little bit different so that we can create some masculine things. Because while there are maybe some men and guys that don't necessarily ride motorcycles, they enjoy looking at them. Same thing with like fishing and golf. So that's why I purchased this. I think it's fun. I need to buoy up the masculine side of things in my library. So, and here we're talking masculine, yet this is a double take class and we're doing 2 cards, 2 for him and 2 for her. So here we go. I have all these mounted on blocks ready to go. Also, and I've done the embossing for you already if you have a kit, but this is the metal plate embossing folder. So it creates that diamond plate look. I love this folder. This is so cool. So I've done that for you ahead of time. Okay, what I have not done ahead of time for myself is any of the die cutting. So we'll be doing it all together today. All right, so open up your packets. It's all packed in there, nice and tight. And let's see what we have. Okay, we'll get rid of the announcement. Okay, so you have some ribbons and twine here. Let's grab this silver cord. This is from the Simply Elegant trim, and it comes in silver and gold. So we're going to use the silver today. These we'll set aside for our next projects. You do have a smalls bag today. I put some of the smaller pieces inside here so that we could kind of get things moving along and not lost. And then you have some silvers in here. So this is the silver specialty foils or pack. I'm not even quite sure what it always is called. Kathleen, I just saw your comment. Masculine is always a little difficult for me. Yes, it is. But that's why we go through today's class like this so that we can kind of create some things that are a little bit more appealing to men and guys, boys. So anyways, this silver, there's a bright silver, kind of like a chrome. And then there's this matte. It almost has a purpley tone to it. And then there's a shiny dark platinum color. And you have 2 more pieces, or you have 1 more piece of that we're going to cut down later on. So you have another piece of that down in your pile here. So let's look at our first card that we're going to do today. We're going to create this one here, okay? And so we're going to need this piece here. That's our matte paper. We're going to use this one as well, okay? And then we'll set this one aside. We don't need that one just yet. And now in our stack of papers here, let's take everything from Pebble Path. Okay, so this is this darker gray. Everything from Pebble Path up is for our first card. And we're also going to need, on our DSPs in back here, we're going to use this one here. It's the brushed, dry brushed piece of Pebble Path. And the back side is this daisy print. Okay, so this is the side we're going to use. So hopefully you guys have seen the photos and you kind of have a sense of where we're going today for these projects. This one here, it's not a kickstand card. It's just kind of a double flap card. So we're going to have a flap here. So here's what I call card front, second card front, and then the inside, okay? So, and then this just kind of has a cool, you know, it kind of stands fun. It's got some dimension. And so let's begin with that one. And let's start with, let me introduce you to some new colors here. This color here that's in your kit is called Wild Wheat. And I know some people are like, yuck, I don't like it. This is an awesome, awesome color. I see a lot of towels. I see pillows. I've even seen furniture, cushions. This is everywhere and has been for a little while this season. And it's a great, it's not yellow, it's not brown, it's somewhere in between, but it's a neutral tone that can give life and interest to some of your creations. That diamond plate, okay, or I should say just metal plate, and then this is gray granite, you know that color, you know white, and then here is Pebble Path. So if you have a kit and you haven't seen Pebble Path or Wild Wheat in real life, okay, these two colors are part of the in colors for 23-25. So now that you know them, keep this packet handy. We'll be turning to that as well. Let's kind of do a little bit of work, prep work here. And so this piece here, this is your gray granite. And we're going to take the gray granite here and we're going to put the left edge at 4 1/4, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4, okay? And while we have our trimmer out, let's take this piece here. So for those of you cutting your own kit, this is 4 by 6. We're going to trim it down to 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, we're definitely going to keep this piece. We're going to move it to the inside. Nope, not on this card. I lied. We're not. You can save this for another project. I lied. Isn't that nice of me? Okay, so now let's do just a little bit of prep work still to kind of base things in and kind of layer some of these pieces. The first thing we're going to do is give this score line that we just created, we're going to fold that and give it a good score with our bone folder, give it a good crease. And now we're going to tape it to the front of our card, right in the center, just like that. But we're only going to glue this tab. Okay, whoops. It's the daily unclog. Let's see if I just can, there it goes. So just glue on that portion. Now find center, and you can eyeball center, just like that. Okay, and then this will lift up. I'm a little off center here. And we'll just kind of burnish that adhesive with our fingers. Oh, Jolinda, I'm sorry, your internet is in and out. That's frustrating. And then this piece we'll glue, we're just going to center that, and then we'll hide the mechanics right there by using this piece of DSP. Okay, let me set this right on top. I know last month during our Zoom session, I think it was the Zoom session, I think, Kat, you were there for the Friday night Zoom session, and I said I would be mixing the Fresh as a Daisy DSP with the motorcycle, and your face was so funny. You were like, what? But look how cool this dry brush look is with the motorcycles. So that's why I went there and got a little bit crazy. Okay, so now that that's ready, let's look at a couple more pieces in your packet here. So you have a solid white, and then you have a textured white. These are both the same size. They are 3 by 4, okay? And so the one that's textured is going to layer onto the front of our gray granite flap here. Jolinda, Jackie says hers is doing the same thing. Huh. I do have my do not disturb on, but for some reason when I put do not disturb on, it still lets calls and texts come through. But hopefully it's working. I'm sorry. I can't control the internet sometimes, if you know what I mean. I wish I could. Okay, so there's that layer. Then this layer here, we're going to layer this one, and you're just going to layer it center of this piece, right? And then it will go edge to edge on the dry brush here. Okay, so we'll just slip this one right there. Okay. And I'm going to keep it up just a little bit right here. And I'm going to slip in some Post-it notes because we're going to do a little bit of stamping and creating there. And I guess we could have actually done this first before we actually ruined our stuff here. But, you know, I get so antsy and I just want to get right in and start putting things together so that the pieces, because I don't know about you, I have a tendency to lose them. So I'm just adding some little Post-it notes in there. Okay, if you're a step behind, don't glue it on just yet. We'll actually go ahead and do a little stamping here on the inside. We're going to work from our inside and we'll go out. You know, we're kind of wild that way. And so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of ground to this. And I'm going to use and I forgot to bring out my wild wheat pad. We're supposed to have wild wheat out here. Hold on while I go grab it. I forgot to put that on the list because I went by the list. I'm coming. Okay, so if you don't have wild wheat, you could easily use, you know, like just kind of a mossy green, or maybe you still have a River Rock from a long, long time ago. River Rock is kind of a lighter version of this wild wheat. So I'm using my blending brush. You would think that if I put blending brush for wild wheat on the list, I would remember to have put wild wheat on the list. So sorry, folks. Okay, so here's my wild wheat. I'm going to offload some of that stronger color right there, and then just gently create just a little bit of ground here. I'm doing just a light little haze. And I'm coming up a little higher on the sides than I am across the middle. And in your smalls bag, while we have the wild wheat ink and the brush out, let's also add a little bit of ink to our inside label here. So this label right here, that's going to be our first out of the smalls bag. And so I'm going to take this and just on my scratch paper here, I'm going to give this kind of a light little haze as well, keeping it more white in the center. Okay, so just have some fun with that. And you can make it, you know, if you want to kind of punch up the sides, the corners a little bit. I kind of did that. There we go, that looks good. Kind of giving it a little bit of a hint of a grungy look in a way. Okay, so we're done with wild wheat. Oh, so no, I lied. Boy, I'm batting 1,000. Okay, there's my second strike. We're not quite done with wild wheat. So this fun little kind of, you know, this is kind of a little piece of scenery, I would call it, with a little bit of like a brush and the rocks or the grass. Okay, so I'm going to stamp one right about there. And I'll do another one just a little lower, right about there. And now, so that they don't all look the same, I'm actually going to turn the piece around. And we're gonna stamp some ground. So I'm trying to not get any of that brush that's kind of down. Now it kind of reverses the stamp a little bit and it gives me a different look. Okay, so, oh, Kathleen, so it must be on my end that things were happening. Hopefully it's kind of stabilized. Okay, so I'm almost done here, almost ready to remove my little Post-it note covers here. I'm using a black Stampin' Right marker, okay? So just, whoops, it's upside down. And these are new. They've reconfigured these. The lids aren't as big. And the Stampin' Right part, W-R-I-T-E, the bullet tip is much different than it used to be. It's larger. The other one, it's like it ran out of ink almost instantly because there was just no felt or whatever this tip is. So that's what's different about that end. This end is the same, but you can use this end just like we do on the blends, and that is to do a little bit of a flick with your marker. And I know you probably can't see it, but now I have these fine, it doesn't look like I can get you to see those, but I have some fine little flicks on there. This one on my original, I did the same thing, but I got a little bit more heavy-handed, so you might be able to see those a little better. But just know that you can do the same trick with your Stampin' Right markers. Okay, so now we can pull this away. Keep them handy. You never know when we'll mask off again. All right, now for this piece here, we're going to stamp with Memento Black. Okay, you could use any black pad. There's no, we're not gonna blend anything, so you could use permanent or dark, archival, whatever. And I'm gonna use the Right On, It's Your Birthday, right on, like right on. Okay, so I'm just inking that up nice, making sure everything's nice and inked up. And now I'm just gonna straight down, straight up. Hopefully I'm centered, hopefully I'm straight. You can see the little flicks. Okay, good. I couldn't tell. From my vantage point and looking down on it, it didn't look like you could see them. Okay, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a clean so that when we go to use it next time, it's ready, and we will be using it again. And I'm going to I'm gonna actually put that one away, and I'm gonna go back to my smalls bag here. And in your smalls bag, you have one of the, what is it, a hexagon? 6 sides, yeah. So an elongated hexagon. So this is from the Nested Essentials. And so you saw these last month in the Sweet Citrus. This one's also from Nested Essentials. However, the difference is this one is smaller than the one we used before. So it's just like Stylish Shapes. It's on my desk and it's not going anywhere. And I'm not going to put this away too fast, or this, my scratch paper, because I'm going to do a little bit of distressing to this piece. And I'm going to use my wide, okay, so this is my Aqua Painter. So the Aqua Painters come in a medium and a fine tip, and then this broad brush tip. So I'm going to use this brush tip. And I'm going to use my Wild Wheat again. And I'm just going to kind of, there's no water. This is dry. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going to kind of paint, and see how we do get that harsh line right there? I actually do kind of like that. And that's what I'm going for. But let me tell you, the trick of this is don't do too many. So I'm going to do one and kind of sweep across the bottom. And I'll pull this up so you can see it in just a second. And then I'll do another one like over here. And now we're gonna switch directions, and I'll do one like middle of the road, come across, and then maybe kind of offload a little bit. Okay, so I've just done a little bit of distressing. So I tell you, when I was kind of creating these cards, I had a little bit of, have you ever been to Cars Land at California Adventure? I just kind of was, you know, that was kind of my vibe where I was kind of thinking about things. So I'm putting this one away because I don't need it, but I am bringing this guy back. And we're going to do a little bit of splatter on this as well. Okay, so we're just kind of giving things, we're just distressing things a little bit. And so what's nice is we've got this distressing on this that also ties into the second card front here. So very cool. You mean the technique. So the technique of the dry brush there, it is kind of fun. So now I'm actually going to stamp my greeting. Now you could stamp your greeting. We're going to stamp the authentic you. We're going to stamp that, and you could do it in green or in the black, in garden green or black. My original is done in garden green, so I'm going to do it in garden green. And I did that because I wanted to tie into the elements of the motorcycle, which we're going to create here in just a few seconds. Okay, so classic authentic you. Just put that straight down. I got to stand a little higher on it. So just center that the best you can on your Nested Essentials die. But look how cool that is. It just kind of has an old vintage gas station look to it. Okay, so those are done. Let's do just a little bit more stamping here. So this piece here in your smalls bag, we have two pieces in there that we're going to use. So we have a small green and a small white. This is going to be for die cutting, so we'll set that aside. And then this one here, we're going to stamp the flames. And so for the flames, I'm actually going to use wild wheat. Okay, on this one, we'll do a little bit of wild wheat action. So just ink that up normal. We're not doing anything fancy. And stamp it to the one side. Okay, because we'll be using this for some more flames. So that will be our flame for this card. And I think for now, until we move to the inside, that is, well, let's just finish up the stamping while we're going here. So your piece of white here, this is a piece of white. This is for the inside of your card. And here's what we're going to do for this piece here. Again, you could stamp the greeting in the garden green or the memento. I'm going to stamp it in garden green. And we're just simply going to stamp "You Are Legendary" on the bottom. Okay. Just inking it up. And I have this mounted on my block, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty straight because I haven't pulled it off. So "You Are Legendary." There's that down there. Okay. And then we'll splatter it as well so that we've repeated that throughout. Sometimes it helps if you kind of turn it so that things don't look quite so, you know, that the streaks of splatters are all in the same direction. So there's that. That's ready. Our ink pads are ready to close. At least garden green and wild wheat, we are finished with that. Okay. We are actually, whoops, knocking things around. Okay, so then let's just get this out of the way and let's glue it to the inside so we're not losing things, right? We can clear our scratch paper out of the way here. Okay, so, whoops, throwing things around. Look at that, I got green on the back of my paper. Surprise. It's the name of the game, right? Fingerprints on everything. Okay, let's actually put this in the right direction. Okay, so this is a simple card inside here. We'll just center that. Awesome. Okay, so the inside's done. This one's almost done. Not quite. We are going to put this on with dimensionals. Okay, there and there. Got a frog in my throat. And this is going to set kind of right up top like this. Okay, and then this piece here, okay, I think I blew it. I'm missing a piece of white because this is actually for our motorcycle. So you may have to grab yourself a piece of white paper. I'm sorry. but I usually have a scratch piece on hand here. So this was for your motorcycle. And how was I going to get this? Oh, I guess I could have. Okay, so let's try it again. Okay, so motorcycle, you're going to stamp it in black. Okay. Actually, we're not stamping our motorcycle in black. We're stamping it in green. And let's see if we can shove. I can't believe I would do that tiny a piece of paper for everything. But anyway, here is the motorcycle. I think I forgot about the flames. There's a motorcycle. Cool. I like that. And I like that it's not like perfectly solid green and perfect ink the whole way through. Okay, so there's no way that's going to fit on there. So, yep, you will need a little piece of scratch white. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Okay, so these can go. We are going to keep this out. We're going to stamp the big motorcycle is in black. Okay, so now we have a little bit of die cutting to do. Let's talk about what we're going to die cut. So I'm going to die cut the flame. We're going to die cut the motorcycle. Okay, and we're going to die cut a whole bunch of pieces here. But let's finish our stamping. And so we'll do our stamping die cuts, and then we'll do our non-stamped die cuts. So with your black pad, we're going to stamp the bigger motorcycle, okay? So for this big guy, actually it's so big, I'm just gonna turn it over and ink it up on its back. And I'm just kind of doing little pats, little twists. Okay, and this you're going to stamp on your wild wheat. Give it a good press. It's kind of a big stamp. Let that ink. All right, now I'm sorry. This right here is cool. Just this, you know, doing some of these and not doing all kinds of crazy stuff to it. Fun times, fun stuff. Okay, so we'll come back to this. We'll definitely use it again later in class. But let's just get these three die cut. So the first piece, there's our big motorcycle here. And I have become a huge fan of this Post-it label tape, cover-up tape. Okay, so I'm just going to use a couple pieces of this. That way I can put these on and then just throw them on the die cut machine, right? And not have to worry about things. So I'm just going to kind of anchor that one with two. Let me bring my plate in here. My very used plate. And we'll do the same thing with this one. We'll get the matching die. Okay. We'll tape it in place. And then I kind of just leave these pieces of tape on the die. And I keep using them until they get a little too thrashed and they have to go. Okay. So just frame that the best you can. You could also do that framing technique that we did last week with the charming sentiments if you really want to get it nice and perfect. Okay, there's that one. And then while we're running through, I am going to throw a few more things on here. And we're going to get this done in like one fell swoop if we can. Okay, so there's that one. Now with this little piece of green, you have a piece of garden green. We're going to run that one through. And the garden green, we're going to do fenders. Going to do two. And you're also going to do this little flame here. Let's just stick that where it will fit on the wild wheat. There's a little one right in there. And we need the seat. So here, this piece here is the seat. Okay, that's going to go on the green. And you're going to kind of try and arrange these. Okay, and then you're going to bring out this piece here. This to me is the coolest piece of all. And basically for this, I just want this light and the handle. So we only need to do like that much, okay? It's okay. Whoops, you don't have to get the whole thing, but you do have to get these. Okay, little static electricity on there. So those are the pieces that we're going to do right now. Then we're gonna take one more pass through the Big Shot with a couple other items. So I'm headed, oh man, mine spun all over the place. The ones that weren't taped down. Okay, here we go. Dropping everything on the floor. Okay. Do you ever have moments where you just don't have success with your cut and emboss machine? It's because I'm using, I should probably just get rid of the, I have a Big Shot magnetic plate underneath, and that's what's making everything spin. Okay. Just getting warmed up here. Okay, I need to do one more pass through because my big motorcycle wasn't all the way on the edge and it didn't cut out the wheel. I am batting 1,000 today, but I think I have it now. Okay, so let me bring this plate in and let's see what we have. How are you guys doing? So here's my small motorcycle for the inside. Cool, cool, cool. So now just keep that Post-it note tape on there. And here is my larger motorcycle. Fun. Keep that tape. And here's my flame. Looks like I need to poke it out. So cool. All these little bits and pieces. They are fun for sure. Poke that out. Okay, here's my other flame. That's fun. Set that there. We'll use that again on the other masculine card that we're gonna do. And then let's see, here are my bike parts. Okay, so you have just kind of this top portion of the handlebars and the light. We're gonna trim that off. And then here is the seat. And here are the fenders. So we have those already. You know, even though it's a motorcycle, it definitely reminds me of like paper dolls, you know, whenever we go to the die cut action here. Okay, so now we're going to do this piece here. We're going to do it on this kind of matte colored, and we want the whole thing. But because I don't want to scar the rest of this piece of paper, I'm going to do kind of a rough cutout. Okay. So that we can do some other items with this. So we'll send this through. This is what really kind of, this piece here is what brings things to life in my mind. And I'm just gonna give that so it doesn't move all around once it's on the sheet. On the mat there, or on the magnetic platform. Make sure it's all on. And we're going to take this darker one here. We're gonna take the darker one and do just a little bit of die cutting on this one. Not a ton, just a little. And what I wanna do is cut out the tires. Okay, so these are the round, I don't know, are they rims? I don't know, tires. So let's just do 2 of those. And then we'll run this through the machine, and that should be everything, and we can assemble. Making sure it's all on and that I'm not cutting something off. Okay, so there's this piece. Put that back in your stash. And then I do like to put my die cuts back in the little bowl. However, one of them, this one, the tire is still in there. There it is. One of them sticks and the other one pops right out. Okay, so I want to point something out, that even though this isn't necessarily the die cut itself, you know, you're really aiming for this piece here. That's a cool little piece right there that you could easily, if you wanted to put, you know, some things together and have that circle, you know, if this were white, if you wanted to put like a white rim in there or whatever they're called, the white walls or what, anyway. So it's the perfect size to do more fun things with the tires. Maybe those of you that are smarter about motorcycles. What? And I have to point out something that we're going to do different on this card than we did on my original. Because I'm like, oh, that's not how it goes. Won't work that way, but we're gonna fix my first mistake. Okay, so now we're just gonna poke out all these little hanging pieces, right? Just kind of take those away. There's 4 right here. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I know that's a gas tank, but other than that, and these are fenders, I don't know the rest of the pieces' names. Okay, so now we have everything we need to create our focal point, our motorcycle. To me, the fun element on the card, the whole fun of this whole package, you know, this whole card kit, the bundle itself. Okay, I'm just doing a little bit of putting away of pads before I set a card face down into them. I do it all the time. Okay, so now with all of these pieces, we're gonna begin to kind of put some things together. We're gonna start with the tires here, and we're just gonna add these right on top, okay? So now we could have done this on like adhesive sheet, but that would have been too smart. But just do a tiny bit of glue here and there. And you know, you don't need to go overboard. It'll stay down. So just go right on top of the existing one. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with this one. And next, we're going to do the fenders. And that was my mistake in the first one. I did the fenders last, and that's not right. So I had like the fender on the outside of this, whatever bar is that goes down. Okay, there's that. Okay. Next, we'll do fenders. And you can tell which one goes where by the, well, they kind of, you know, there's a little teeny groove in this end, and that's the back one. And then the groove is on the opposite side. And if you look at the stamped image, that's on the front one. But I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but if you're looking and wondering. And these are going to kind of lap right over on top of the tire. So just a little glue. Okay, so this is the front one. And so just line it up with the stamped image there. Okay. And then we'll do this one. On there. Okay. And next, I'm going to do this piece here. And so on my original, this is what I'm talking about. See how I have the fender on the outside? This piece, what we're going to do is clip the fenders off. So just clip that fender right off there. And I'm just kind of changing my direction here. And we'll clip this one off. Or we could have clipped the green one in half. But I think this is a better way. Okay, so there's that. And now let's take this one off as well. So just leave everything else, but just take that fender away. Okay, so you could, you know, if you wanted this on a different bike, you could, but I'm just throwing it away. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're going to glue it to our bike here, our stamped bike. Okay, look how cool that is. It's just kind of bringing things to life. Okay, and I really like this matte color. Sometimes I kind of gear towards the shiny stuff, but I like this matte color with the green and the wheat. You know, you have to kind of think more, you know, what would appeal to my dad or to Newell or Nicholas. Okay. And so now just line this up. I find that it's easiest. I start, see that right there? I line those two up right there. Because these kind of, they go right. And they're not exactly perfect, but they are pretty dang close. And if I had die cut a little better, it would have been even close. I mean, yeah, die cut my original piece. Okay, so there's that. Now we still have a few more pieces here. So this piece here, we're going to do some pretty tiny little detailing here. I'm going to cut this light off. And I'm going to mount it to that one there, just to give it some more green. And so I'll do just a tiny dot of glue there. And while I'm talking about a tiny glue dot, I'm going to do a tiny dot on the handlebar as well. And now this will set right on top. So it just gives us a green, so we're just giving a few more green elements here. There's that. And now this one, I'm just going to clip off. Hopefully you can see just that tiny little amount. Itty bitty. That's why I put the glue on our bigger piece. And then that will set there. Just going to kind of mush that into the glue. Okay. And then I'm going to use my scrap here. I was going to use my hobby blade, but nah, since I have some scrap handy, I'm just taking a little bit of that glue away. Okay. Cool. Okay. A little bit more glue there. The nice thing is this glue does dry clear, but I still like to take it away. Okay, so that's where we are so far. I know, little teeny tiny pieces. And you don't have to do that. You could actually come in with a Stampin' Blend and color some of that. But, okay, so the last thing is the seat. And so I studied the, so this bundle made its appearance in the past January to April catalog, and they put the seat on upside down. They had it going like this, but if you look at it, there's this little cutout right here, right there, and that's also there. And so it actually goes this way in my mind. So that's why I kind of did my own thing. I went rogue, renegade, and arranged it my own way. Okay, so just line that one up, and I think you'll agree that it lines up that way. Okay, have a funny little piece hanging on. Then for our flames, I just layered this one on top of the stamped one. Okay, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And we're going to stick this on last. We'll kind of tuck it on underneath once we have everything together. And so here, what I want to do is add some dimensionals to the back now that we're ready to go. All right. And whoops, I shouldn't have put them away too fast. Let's put some dimensionals on the back of the stamped motorcycle. That's for the inside. And actually for this one, I'm going to go ahead and put a mini right on the tip. So do you see that one? There it is. Okay, so dimensionals are ready. Oops, don't put them away. We still haven't dimensionaled our label here, our card front label. And so I'll do that with some bigs. We'll do one in the middle and one on each end. Be sure you don't go right to the end because this does hang over the edge of our card. Okay, get your silver cord ready. Bring your card base in. So we have our card base going. Let's finish the inside here because all we have to do is stick this on and that will complete the inside of this card. And I do actually have it over here a little bit. I don't have it dead center. You could do it dead center, but just kind of taking it off center just a little bit right there, like it's going to drive. Okay, so now let's work this one. We're going to start with our label here. And this centers, but is placed on the bottom. So just center that on your card. And I'm going to come just a skosh higher, just a little bit. Right there like that. Now I'm going to take this piece here, and I'm not going to, you could tie it in a bow, but I'm just going to kind of like make the shape of a bow without actually tying it. So I'm just kind of going like, and it just kind of like had memory and did it on its own. But just fold that for yourself. Okay. And then you could use like a little couple glue dots to mush that in, or if you have washi tape or scotch tape. I have a little washi tape here. I'm just going to hold it in place. And then once I come in with my motorcycle, that will anchor the rest of it in place. Okay, so just a little washi. I usually have washi tape, scotch tape, and now this fun Post-it tape right next to me all the time when I'm creating. Okay, so this is just kind of like to hold it in place until I can get the dimensionals in there to really hold it down, because it's the dimensionals on the motorcycle that really are going to hold it down. Okay, so let me kind of shape this the way I want. Looks like I needed a second piece. Okay, so never fear, that's going to go away. It's not going to show once we get our stuff down. Okay, now take your motorcycle and arrange your little pieces the way you want them, because I kind of want it to frame this wheel a little bit. Get your motorcycle in the right spot, and there you go. Okay, I'm going to make that one a little smaller. Just making a few adjustments, and now if you kind of smash down on your dimensionals, that will hold your trim in place. Speaking of trim, kind of get it to where you want it. Okay, just need to add the flames and some gems, and we will be done with our first His card. So the flame now, and this is why I wanted to wait, because I'm going to kind of nestle it under this tire in here. And I just needed to be able to see exactly where I wanted it. So there's that, you know, it's really moving. Vroom, vroom. Okay, so in your smalls bag, these here, these are the in color enamel dots, opaque dots, I don't know what they're exactly called, but they're super cool. I really, really like them. So we have Pebble Path, Wild Wheat, Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Boho Blue. We're going to use them all today. Going to use them all up. So I'm going to use the Pebble Path on this card, and we'll put one down here in the corner and the other two kind of up over in here. Just like that. And if you want to give it a little bit of Wink of Stella, you could, but you might think, it's for a guy. I'm going to maybe not do so much sparkly stuff, but whatever you want, it's totally perfect to do. So there's our front. We've got some cool little ideas there to distress. We've built the motorcycle. There's our second card, and then the inside. Kind of fun, something for him. Now we're going to make another card, and we're going to make the sibling. I mean, these cards really, it's going to be a case for her. We're going to case almost this card, same elements. We're just going to arrange them a little bit different. So let's start with the ribbon. So this is card number 2 that we are working on now. Okay, so with your ribbon, this ribbon here, this is the Sweet Sorbet metallic ribbon. It came out in the catalog last year, and it is being carried over this year. And the thing that I find interesting about these metallic ribbons, this Sweet Sorbet actually matches Moody Mauve to me way better than it matches Sweet Sorbet. It looks good with Sweet Sorbet, but it looks fabulous with Moody Mauve. So you notice that I just cut it in half. So go ahead and cut yours in half. And then let's bring our stack of papers in that we're using. And our stack of papers for this card are going to be everything from Moody Mauve. Whoops, I grabbed the next card. Moody Mauve card base up. And then Designer Series paper-wise, you're going to need my favorite piece right there, that pretty daisy print. Okay, so those are our pieces. So if you haven't, just like that first card you saw Pebble Path for the first time, here is Moody Mauve. So Moody Mauve, it's a pretty color. And Bubble Bath, we're also using some Bubble Bath in this card. So there's Bubble Bath. And then this here is Pecan Pie, okay? So we're using a mix of pecan pie and copper clay and just having some fun picking up some of the colors here in this daisy paper. Kathleen, yes, this daisy paper is so fun. And then look how the back, it doesn't have to just be for girls. Look, that has kind of a masculine look to it if you want it to. It doesn't have to, but it could. Okay, so here are our pieces. So I mentioned that this is kind of a sibling, a twin card. It's definitely inspired by the first one. So you have two pieces of Bubble Bath, okay? So on the larger piece, this larger piece, we're gonna turn it, and along this long edge, we're going to score it at 4 1/4, okay? Sounds familiar, right? Didn't we just do that on the gray granite for the first card? So score it at 4 1/4, okay? And then your Designer Series paper is 4 by 6. So we're gonna trim it to be 4 by 5 1/4, just like we did that first card. Now, unlike our first card, we're gonna keep this piece and we're gonna be using it. Okay, so let's see, look at this here. We have another piece of the white that's been embossed with the metal plate, and that is going to layer on this piece, just like we did for the first card, okay? But we're gonna do things just a little bit different than we did on the first card. So on the first card, we actually went something like this, right? Well, this time we're gonna mix it up and do something entirely different. Same elements, we're just gonna arrange them in a different way. So the first thing we're going to do is we have folded that, and just like we did on that first one, we put glue just right here. We're gonna do the same thing, but this time I'm gonna put this on the inside of the card. Okay, and so my card is open. So going this way, now you're going to center this one up here, but move it out just a little bit, making sure that this will close and this will close this way, okay? So kind of looks the same like our first one, but we're gonna switch the orientation here, and we're gonna have a portrait card, and it's gonna open like here and here. So same pieces, just rearranged in a different fashion. Okay, now, before we glue this piece on and this piece underneath, we're gonna put our ribbon in, because I'm always forgetting to sandwich my ribbon in, right? So I'm like, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. Okay, so our ribbon is gonna go just about halfway. So we're gonna just put that right in there. And you could use some glue, you can use some washi tape, you could use some tear and tape. I think I'm just gonna use a little piece of tear and tape here and put it in a little ways, because this paper isn't coming all the way to the edge. So put it in just a little ways, give it a good burnish, peel that off. You could use glue too, folks, but sometimes I like the instant stick of tear and tape, or you could use washi tape. So I'm just putting that in the middle, and I'm just kind of giving that a good, I really want that to get those fibers to grab into that tear and tape so it doesn't come apart. And I kind of have a glob right here. So I'm just picking that off. Okay, now we can glue this layer on. half the time I always put these pieces on too soon. And then it's like, oh no, I can't get my ribbon in there. So I'm like, I'm not gonna forget this time. I'm not gonna forget. Okay, so now we have our ribbon sandwiched in there. And I'm just gonna give it a good press and really get that to set up. Now let's do the exact same thing. One more little piece of tear and tape, right? And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we'll just burnish that tape on. Pull off that little cover. Now bring our ribbon in, and now to make sure that we're in the exact right spot, I'm just kind of lining them up. That looks good. It doesn't have to totally be exact, but it's nice if it's close, right? So let's see here. Yeah, they line up. Okay, we'll kind of give that a good, get it on there. Now I can burnish, I can adhere this piece in, and then we'll burnish on top of that to make sure we have a good, firm adhesion there. Okay, here we go. And center this piece. Looking good. Now look how pretty that is. Now I'm going to really kind of rub right there. Get that to, look how pretty of a card that is. And it's the same, I mean, if you look at it, it's really kind of the same idea. We're just kind of rearranging pieces a little bit different. Okay. Speaking of pieces, here's our other pieces. I have a frog in my throat. I'm going to take a drink here real fast. Sorry. Okay, moving right along. Okay, for our next bit of what we should be doing here, let me just share with you the first card here, or sorry, the second card, but our what we're making. How's that? So the card unties, and seriously, look how great does that ribbon look with the Moody Mauve, right? So we've got a layer here. So here's second card. We have a pocket, and then we have the inside. Okay, so we'll be doing all of those elements. So let's just start with some of those. We'll have our inspiration right here of what we're doing. We have all of our bits and pieces. And so what we are going to do here is, this piece here, this large piece is going to be for the inside. So we'll set that one way aside so it doesn't get any ink or anything on it. And then we have some pieces here that we'll be using. We're going to cut some more seats and motorcycles, just kind of like we did before. But we're going to do something just a little bit different than we did on our first card. And that is, I'm trying to, okay, so this piece here, we are going to cut the motorcycle with this piece here. All right. And actually we're gonna, I kind of did this backwards. I'm gonna do this piece here, but I've got ink on it, so I'm gonna turn it over. We're gonna do it just a little bit different than I did on my original, because I want to do some ink. I want to do some cool ink techniques with this piece here. So we have the motorcycle itself, but we'll also be cutting out some pieces. We'll be cutting out some fenders. So a little different than my original. We're going to cut the seat. Okay, so these pieces here, sorry. Okay, so you've got the two fenders and you've got the seat. Okay, we'll be cutting that, but keep, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get the handlebar and the light. So we kind of have to kind of leave a little space for that. So we've got a lot of die cutting there. We'll do that. And then we're also going to die cut this piece here. And we're going to do something, like I said, I was going to do something a little bit different because I want it to show up better. I want to highlight all of these gears and things. So I'm going to take copper clay and I'm going to pounce my dye into the copper clay. So you saw me do this with the, when we did the lighting the way with the lantern, we pushed the die cut into our ink pad, and see how it's picking up color here and there? I'm just trying to get a little bit more color in there. I'm trying not to get it all over my fingers, but that's kind of like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But that looks pretty good. Just have your cleanup pad nearby and you'll be okay. So we're gonna go like so. And we're also going to cut the, tires. So I guess these are rims, I don't know. So we have these tires, okay? We also have these. We're gonna cut these because remember when I said you want the insides? We're gonna go for the insides on that one. So let's just bring in my plate here and we'll get everything kind of lined up what we're gonna die cut here. We're gonna die cut this one. We've got some pieces here that might be a little hard to see. So let me get them to where you can see them. So we have the two fenders. We have the seat, just kind of like we did last time, right? And then this large piece here, I mentioned we're gonna cut some pink out of it. We'll have to do it on a second time. But this piece that we did in the matte, we're gonna do in the bright. This time you're gonna do it in the bright silver here. So just kind of give a rough chop on that. Like so. Okay. We'll just find a spot on the plate. We'll do that much for right now. And actually, if we have room, we're gonna do these two tires. So we have the rims on the wheat, or sorry, this is pecan. So now on our matte, the matte silver, this is the matte silver, we're gonna do the two tires. Okay, so we'll give this a little rough chop as well so that we're not scarring the rest of the piece. And then what might be smart before I run this through is for you, let me give you the opportunity to kind of take a screenshot of everything we're doing so far, right? Take that down. So now the only thing we're gonna have left to do is I do wanna get that light and the handlebar just like we did the first time. Okay, I'm gonna take those down because my plate is warped. I really need to invest in some new plates. My plate is warped and I've got a magnetic plate underneath, so I'm batting 1,000. Here we go. Let's see how much they move when I put it down. Yep, they all moved. Every flippin' one. Stupid stuff. Okay, well, tell it who's boss. Okay, I'm running it through. How are you guys doing? Is anybody stamping or creating along? Okay, let me bring this over. Okay, so those are the pieces we die cut. Again, if you need a little quick screenshot. So, oh, so cool. Look at that. Look at that. Fun stuff. So we'll peel this all off. Just to let you know, our second two cards go quite a bit faster. Our first two, we're starting out with our two fancies, and then our other two cards look great, but they do come together pretty quick. Although our motorcycles are still going to be pretty fancy because they're the focus of what we're working on here. But I also want to just kind of, hopefully you see the ins and outs of everything and all the different pieces and different ways you can put them together. So the first one we stamped underneath. So this one we're going to do more die cutting. Okay, so here are our two tires and rims, whatever these, I don't know. I guess these are the wheels and the tire is the part that goes on the outside. I don't know. Anybody out there a pro? The insides of these look like little Hershey's Kisses. So there's that. Clean all these little pieces out. So I did the Tundra trick, and earlier today I wiped down my plate with a dryer sheet. So it was helping them come off the sheet easily. But sometimes when I'm calling it a sheet, your plate So you rubbed it with a dryer sheet and it's helping things not stick to the plate, but now they stick to each other more. Okay, trash, get rid of that. We have these tires. This one, again, I remember mine doesn't pop out on this one. It's a little sticky, so you have a couple of those. We're actually not going to use that part. We're going to use this part. We're going to use the insides of those, but you can keep those. You never know when you might like them. And now look at this. So now we've given this piece far more character by having that ink in there. Why are some of the sets the rubber stamps and the other sets are clear? Is there a difference? Yes, there is a definite difference, and that's a great question. The red rubber stamps that are now called cling mount because they cling to the clear blocks, as well as the photopolymer sticks to the clear blocks. The classic red rubber is going to be just a far more, when you have more detailed images, the red rubber is the way to go. It really allows for some beautiful details, and it's just going to get you to me, I mean, Jolinda, you can chime in because Jolinda definitely likes the red rubber, I know, but it just, for me, I think the red rubber creates a better impression. The photopolymer is fun because you can see through them, and placement is easy, right? Because you can see exactly what you're doing. However, when it comes to greetings and photopolymer, I think that the red rubber is far superior. I can't always get my ink to stick to the photopolymer. If you're having that issue with photopolymer not sticking to your ink, sticking to your photopolymer stamps well enough to stamp it, sometimes we brush them on our pant leg, on a pair of, like if you're wearing jeans, to just give it a slight little scuff so it will ink up better. The other thing you can do is put your photopolymer through, use a Versamark pad on them, and that seems to help them hold ink better as well. So it just really depends. So photopolymer, clear, you can see through them where you're putting them, and they are less expensive. The cons for photopolymer, they don't always take ink, and you can actually misshape them. However, Stampin' Up's photopolymer is different than most companies, and they didn't bring out photopolymer until they had it to where the photopolymer would go back and it had a memory and it would hold its own position. But the photopolymer, when I'm saying you can misshape them, is you can change the shape of them on the block and then put it back. So there's pros and cons. To me, the con of red rubber, you can't see through it and they cost more, but they really look good. Okay, so we're going to start here, okay? And we're going to add, it's a little tricky because I don't have the actual stamped images, but we'll be okay. So our first, let's start with our tires. And we're going to put this wheat color behind there. Okay, just to kind of make things a little different so everything's not on the pink. Okay, there's that. We'll do the same thing. Kathleen, hopefully that answered the question. We can chat more about that. Or if people in the comments, Jolinda says, red rubber for the win. I knew Jolinda, she really, and Shelly from Stampin' Up, the co-founder, she prefers the red rubber. Okay, here's this piece. Okay, so we're just kind of roughing this in. And then we have our cool piece here. So let me just bring that up. So there's that copper clay that we pre-inked on the die itself, and see how it caught into the grooves. I didn't do that the first time, and I'm like, it needs that so you can kind of see it. So that's going to go in here. And then we do fenders. Remember, we learned the fenders go on the inside, not the outside. So our fenders will come in. Okay, and I'm just kind of throwing them there for now, just, Okay, then our silver piece is going to come on, and that's what brings all of this to life, right? So let's start with, I'm going to start with this piece here. And we're going to line it up on the die cut here. Trying to remember exactly where it goes. I think it goes up right in here. Okay. It's hard when you don't have all the pieces in there. Okay, that one's in there. Then we'll do the tires. Tires, wheels, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Okay, they come down almost right on top of things. It's the silver piece that really puts everything in place, this chrome piece that we cut. But if we put that on first, it's not going to work. It's not going to look good. That's not going to be right. Okay. Fender. These are fenders, right? Okay, so Kathleen says, thank you. Yes, sometimes I have trouble with ink sticking to stamps. Yes, okay. So what to do when that happens is I will take the stamp itself. Let's say this were photopolymer and these were my pant leg. I will literally like brush it down my pant leg. You know, it needs to be clean, but that will just kind of take off. Sometimes there's a little bit of a, you know, like a film, not a film you peel off, but like just kind of a coating on them that makes it so that you can't get it to stick. But if you do that, it just kind of helps them stick better. That, and sometimes your ink pad might not be juicy enough. But for the most part, I think it's just kind of start with the kind of wiping it down. Okay, there's our other fender. Now, all of this fun stuff. Again, we're going to snip off these. Okay. Do the same thing to the back one. I almost cut the wrong thing off. Okay, take those off. That's the one thing, when you do it the other way, you don't have to clip that off, but it sure looks more more correct when you do it this way. The other way is easier, but Nicholas said, yeah, that's not the way they go. Okay, so now we'll put all this fun stuff on. Again, I'm going to start with that right there. Just kind of line things up. Cool. So cool. Oh, we're not even done. Look how fun. Okay, I got to wiggle mine this way just a little bit. Okay. Same drill that we did before with the seat and the handlebars. Give it a pink seat, right? And then this little section here, we're going to give it a pink light and a pink handlebar. Just same thing. So basically, we have cased our first card. So we copied and selectively shared. Okay. Case, copy and steal everything, copy and selectively edit, however you want to say it. But sometimes it's fun to work that way, you know. You don't have to kind of recreate the wheel, just make a few adjustments. Okay, just a teeny bit of glue here and there on that handlebar and on the light. And our motorcycle for the front will be done. And our other elements go pretty quick on this card. So there's the light. And getting this on is going to be a trick. And you can put the light on. So on my original, I put the pecan pie underneath. So, you know, if you want the silver light or the pink light, It's just with that pecan pie underneath, you see the light just a little bit more. I'll show you what I mean in a minute here. But I like the copper clay pecan pie against the pink. I think it's a little bit more interesting. Okay, here goes my handle. I guess we actually should have made these, since we were changing the base, we should have switched them to this pecan. But either way, fun stuff. Look how cool. Let's prep it, get it ready. We know it's going to have dimensionals. 1, 2, and 3. So that's ready. Now let's do a little bit more stamping to bring everything together. So I believe the last thing, or not the very last thing, but almost the last thing, you have another one of the hexagons here. And so for this one, what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of change up the greetings on this. This is going to be a birthday card. And so right on, it's your birthday. We're going to put that in Moody Mauve. Okay. Right on top here. Cool. So it looks a little brown, but it does, look at it. So here it is stamped, and look how it will fade to that. It's kind of crazy. So there's that. Now we're actually going to do just a little bit more. We're going to do a little bit of fun splatter here, only this time our splatter, we're going to use the Wild Wheat ink pad, or you could use copper clay, either one, or something similar. Grab your water painter, okay? And we're gonna do just a little bit. We're not gonna go hog wild crazy. Hog wild, get it? Ha ha ha. Just do a little light, just give it a little distressing here. Just a little bit of a splatter. And not too much, because this is wetter than, say, a blend. And I keep doing them and they're not hitting the thing. See that? I've not hit the thing once. Well, I have, but not very well. Ah! And that was too big a splatter trying to get it there. Okay. Well, avoid that. But actually, when it dries, it will look fun. It will be, you know, rustic, cool. I almost need to get another blob like that on there. Oh, man. Yeah, let me get just another good one over here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Now it matches. Now it's intentional. That's all you have to do sometimes. So there is that little distress, vintagize it. What's a good word for that? Okay, so these pieces are ready. Now let's get this piece ready here. We're going to do the same thing we did on our his version, and that is we're going to take and do some of those same techniques. We're going to use that wide brush. We're also going to use our blending brush and some ink here. So this time we're going to combine the two. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of, just a little blend of ink down here on the bottom, not a ton. I just want to kind of change it up a little bit. I don't want tons and tons of blended ink there. And we're going to use the scenery stamp the same way we did. We'll do the same exact thing. Let me kind of straighten this out so that I'm stamping. Okay, so I'll do one there. And this time I'm going to cut the little bush off, and I'm going to flip it upside down just like we did on the first one. Okay, so that gives me a little ground for my motorcycle that's going to come in here. And I'm also going to do that same dry brush technique. So I have ink on here, and I'm just going to kind of drag it across. And you guys, less is more. I did one, I'm like, oh yeah, oh no. And I took it too far. So you just want to do enough that you get a little bit of that. And so hopefully you can see. Okay. There's that. And then I am going to do just a little bit more of, going to tie these little splatters in. I was more restrained on my original. So I'm just, yeah, these are better splatters than here. But actually, I think they're kind of cool looking. You know, they look like oil spots or something. Okay, so just include that distressing throughout. Let that dry a little bit. Now we're going to stamp this one with the same greeting we used on the other one. Give it a clean because it had green. Okay. I don't think I'm quite ready to stamp that. I want to be sure that those little blobs there are entirely dry. But let's just turn back to our card here and let's work on the assembly of the front. Since we have the pieces all done, let's finish the front. So we have our greeting and our motorcycle. So putting it together just like we did our his version. Okay. Like so. Same deal. I kind of like these big splatters. And I have this coming down below that. I don't know why I did it. I just kind of like it though. Okay. And our motorcycle coming up in here. Ooh, I like this one that has this darker ink in it. How fun is that? Okay. Now take your dots, your in color dots, and we'll use the Moody Mauve on this front here. Make sure you're using the Moody Mauve. So the copper clay are next to the blue. Okay, the Moody Mauve are next to the wheat. We'll take that big one, kind of set it in here. Actually, no, I'm going to put the big one up here. Changed my mind. Big one, and we're going to put the medium one down here. That's what I did on my original. It's a little less space there, so I think it looks better with the medium than the large. And then this one. So very similar to that, his version. Okay, and then this is going to open up. This extra piece that we have here that was from the bottom of our paper, we're going to go ahead and punch a little notch in that so that people know there's a little pocket there that they could put a gift card if they wanted, or an extra note, or a photograph. And before we stick this on and make this be a pocket, I did it again. I should have, we should have stamped it first. I knew there was a reason why we hadn't put things together. It's a little funny, right? Okay, take your big motorcycle, clean it up because it had black on it, and we're going to ink this up in Bubble Bath. You think Bubble Bath and a motorcycle? Can it be? Yes, it can. So I'm just opening this up. This might not be the best since I have all those lumps underneath, but that's okay. So ink this up in Bubble Bath. Okay, and now bring your pocket piece in that's going to go right there so that you can kind of guesstimate where you're going to put this motorcycle. And give that a good stamp. Hopefully it works. Looks like Kim popped on. Hello, Kim. How's everything going over there? Oh, look, it worked. Part of that reason why it worked is because it was red rubber. So Kathleen, when you ask the difference, you've got all that nice sponge in there. And so you are going to get a very clean image with red rubber that you don't always with photopolymer. Okay, so I mean, just that right there. I think this stamp is cool. You know, I don't ride motorcycles, but I still think it's cool. Okay. Okay, so forming a pocket out of this. So I'm putting my glue on the bottom and the sides. And I did choose to use the wild wheat side instead of the daisy side, but you could use the daisy side if you want. But there's that pocket. I got ink right there. How did I do that? Okay, so while the ink hasn't totally set, you need to hit it with that sand eraser, and your chances of getting it off are a lot better than if you wait. And look, it came off. Okay, good. So there's that inside. Okay, moving right along. Let's work on this one. We've got most of it done. We have just a little bit more stamping to do on this. And so our stamping, let me see. Oh, does anybody know we had a second piece of pink paper. I'm not quite sure where mine went, but with that second piece of bubble bath, I have no idea where it went, you guys. It was here at the beginning, right? We saw it at the beginning. Okay, not sure where my other piece of bubble bath is. I will just rob it from this kit, but you have another piece of bubble bath, and it's a smaller piece. Remember, I showed 2 pieces of bubble bathing. So tomorrow night, I just remind me I have to get a piece of bubble bath. Okay, so this piece here is going to be for, see how it's smaller than this piece? We're going to stamp the smaller motorcycle for the inside of our card, for our second card layer. But now I can't find, oh, here's my mini motorcycle. The smaller motorcycle, and you're gonna stamp this. I originally stamped it in Moody Mauve, and I'm like, it looks good. But then I tried it again in Copper Clay. And I think this is a fun mix. So who would have thought that the mix of Wild Wheat, Copper Clay, Pecan Pie, and Moody Mauve with Bubble Bath would be the direction we would go. But I was kind of, went that way because of all the different colors that are in this paper. So all you have to do is stamp that. Oh, I know where my paper is. It's already in the garbage because I did all the other pieces on it. I was supposed to leave room. And it does fit because I practiced. But I practiced too long ago to remember what I was doing. Pretty sad that the brain is that, got that short of memory. Okay, so take your motorcycle and we'll die cut that right out because that's going to go on the inside. And I just really love Copper Clay on this bubble bath, you guys. Seriously, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Okay. And let's run that through the machine. Okay, looking good. Love it, love it. Okay, this just gets a couple dimensionals on the back. One there and one there. And then we will add it to our circle here. It's going to go right about there. But first, let's stamp it. And so we're going to stamp the greeting. We're going to stamp the greeting with the Moody Mauve. So grab your Moody Mauve for the greeting. Now, if you don't have these colors just yet, I'm sure you can find other colors that will totally, soft suede would work in here. I mean, going way back in time, if you have Perfect Plum, that's a long way back, but Perfect Plum would look good. Going even further back, Pale Plum. I really liked those 2 colors. Okay, got to put my pads all in the same place. Now this is going to go on with dimensionals. Where's my bigs? Here they are. It's like, how did they end up way over there? Do you guys ever do that? It's like, I usually put dimensionals kind of right down in front of me because I use them so often. And they were all the way over on the die cut machine. How did it get there? Oh, okay, here we go. So this one's layering. Now just make sure, you don't want to get too high because you want to make sure that it is hidden behind your panel here. And then the motorcycle goes on. And then the last thing we need to do for this card is just a little bit of detail work on our inside piece of paper, which guess what? I can find it. It's right here, but it has ink on it. So this is a full sheet. So we need to trim it down so that it will fit inside of our card. So we'll just give it a trim down. Just take off, it's usually about 1/8 of an inch, but you don't need to take off anything vertically, just horizontally, so it will fit. inside here. Okay, and we'll bring that all the way to the edge. And I actually do need to trim mine just a little bit vertically. It's hanging out the edge just a skosh. So I'm not gonna do as much. I'm just gonna do a little, just a hair, a little feather's worth. Okay, now for the inside, we have a few things to do just to finish up. We have our copper clay. We're gonna put the copper clay gems right there on the inside, and then a little bit of work on the inside here. So the inside of this, we're gonna take our wild wheat, because that's one of our colors, right? Take your wild wheat pad and your blending brush, and we're gonna do just a little soft, hazy layer of ink in there to just kind of right across the top here, just to give a background to the greeting, just so it's not stamped directly on the white. We're just gonna kind of zhuzh it up a little bit. There's that. And then let me get it just a little bit longer this way. That, keeping it easy. And a few added splatters, just like the other. You could splatter with bubble bath if you want, but since I splattered the front with the other, we'll do just a few, just keeping it easy here to tie in to the front. Come on, splatter, there it goes. Kept them pretty simple and a little further away this time. Now we'll stamp our greeting in Moody Mauve, and we're gonna stamp "You Are Legendary." So, very same, similar elements as our first card. Okay, so "You Are Legendary," and we're just gonna put that right in where you did that little bit of blending ink. And it's surprising how light this is gonna fade to. But while I'm waiting for that to dry and my splatters to dry, I'm gonna close up all my crazy ink pads here. Okay. Like I say, if you want to add a little bit more splatter to this, a second color, I did. I don't always do the exact same thing because I can't always remember until I'm looking closer at it, right? I did add a little bit of bubble bath there. And to my front here, you could add a little bit of bubble bath in there as well. I do like bringing in a second color. And I know I'm doing this right on top of my other stuff, but I figured it won't hurt to have a few more. Okay, so now this just has to glue inside. And I'm gonna put my glue on here because sometimes my glue shows through on my white because I get too heavy-handed, I guess. Okay, so just layer that, and this is to cover the entire inside. Okay, make sure everything will shut. Okay, there's that. Looking good. Last but not least is to add these copper clay to the inside. And I did them just, I was like, where should I put them? And I was moving around. I go, oh, I kind of like that. And then I kind of liked them in that order, you know. So I'm doing one here instead of spreading them out. And I did one on top. And then we'll do the big one. So you can put them wherever you like. Maybe you want to put them on the inside. I put them there and I moved them all around. Okay, there's that. And you can give it a little wink of Stella action, as always, you know. It's kind of fun to go in and, you know, just give a little bit on some of our focal elements here. And then even on the front, you know, maybe the seat, fenders, lights, different things. And then give it one last little sparkle. And there you have it. Let me get this ugly piece out of the way. Give it a quick tie here. Seriously, look how great this sweet sorbet looks with this Moody Mauve. I also find like the Starry Sky metallic ribbon looks really good with Night of Navy. So just hunker down on that. A nice fun bow on the side there. I think it's cool. So here is our finished his and hers. Kind of a stepped up fancy fold. Fun times. Okay. So our next two cards are going to be a little simpler to make. Let me bring those out and you'll see how these two are very similar. We're using the same layout and same types of elements. We're just going to kind of rearrange them. So let's start with his and then we'll finish with hers. And let me just show you the inside. They're very, very similar. Okay. Similar ideas, just slightly different on how we're going to do some things. Okay. So let's bring in our pieces here. So our pieces for his second card, we're going to have everything from Pretty Peacock up. Okay. And Designer Series paper-wise, you have a garden green Pretty Peacock and the back side is that. We're going to use that for his. And then obviously these pieces will all be for her. Okay, so let's take all these pieces and see what we're going to do here. Let's start with our DSP. And for our DSP here, we're going to trim this down. It's 4 by 6 now. We're going to trim it down to be 4 by 5.5. Usually we'll like take it down to 4 and 5 1/4. This time it's 5.5. So give yourself 4 by 5.5 and save this little 1/2 piece. Okay, we're going to do that as a trim. And then this piece here that I have embossed for you. Yes, Karen, your comment popped up. I love Pretty Peacock and I'm glad that they brought it back. Yeah. So it's so fun. And then as I was kind of like finally rearranging my paper and bringing in all the new and kind of taking out some of the old, I found a whole huge stash of Pretty Peacock. I'm like, yeah. So this piece that I have embossed for you, this is the shiny platinum that has a little bit of a texture to it. I have added the metal plate folder there for you, embossing. We're going to trim this down. It is 2 by 4. We're going to trim this down and go slow. We're going to trim it down to be 1 by 4. Okay. So one of these will be for his and one of these will be for hers. Okay. So moving right along, let's just start with some simple stamping. And then we will get to making our motorcycle and doing all the fun, crazy stuff we're going to do. So I'm just bringing in some scratch paper here. And we're going to do this first. We're going to find your smalls bag. I wonder where I put mine. There's only 2 little pieces left in your smalls bag, and they are the reinforcers. Please be careful when you've taken your stuff out. I made sure that everybody had 2 when they were sealed. So look around if you've lost one, because I didn't seal anything until I saw 2 in the bag. Okay, so here is your reinforcer, and this is part of the tailor-made tags. This feels like I actually got 3. Okay, so that reinforcer there is garden green, and it's going to go on top of I need to clean up my glue here. It's got too much of a big old glue booger on it. Nice words, glue booger. But you know, they get all kind of mocos-like. So I'm just adding a few little dots here rather than putting the glue on the reinforcer here. So this tag here, I'm sure you're probably familiar, but if you're not, it's from TaylorMade Tags. And TaylorMade Tags, stylish shapes, and now nested essentials, use them all the time. They're always in the front of my stash. So put that reinforcer on first so that you know where you're going to put your greeting. And we're going to stamp, Dad, you're the coolest. Dad, you're the coolest. It sounds like something out of a afternoon special. We're going to ink it up in garden green. Okay. You could also ink it up in Pretty Peacock if you wanted, either one. But ink it up in garden green. I think I chose garden green because it's a little bit lighter than Pretty Peacock. And then I'm going to take my basic black marker and I'm going to come in here and add black to the you're the. So Kathleen, going back to your question, what's the difference between red rubber and photopolymer? I will tell you right now, I have tried to use markers on photopolymer and it just doesn't, it beads up. I can't get a good inking up with it. But red rubber, you can use your brush tip markers, not your blends, your Stampin' Right markers, direct on the rubber here. And this is a fun technique for getting a two-tone look. So, give that a little huff. We're gonna stamp it over here on the side. Dad, you're the coolest. There's that. And we're gonna trim the rest off. Or you could fold it around to the inside of the card if you wanted. Don't close your pad while we're here, but bring out your pretty peacock pad as well. And we're gonna do the flames. Gotta have the flames on the dad cards, right? I guess you could, you know, girls could, you know, have the flames too. Why not? But anyhow, put the flames on the guys' cards. Ink it up in garden green. And then do a rock and roll around the edges and add some pretty peacock. And we're gonna stamp this. So you have a piece here and I want you to put it way, way, way up high in the corner. Okay, so there's that. And you're done with your flames. And for now, we are done with garden green for now. So I'm gonna shut it, but bring in your black and let's grab the big motorcycle image. Okay, I think I need to clean it. I can't quite tell if there's bubble bath on there or not. Okay, take that big guy. Karen, oh, but my dad really is the coolest. Yep. We're inking up in Pretty Peacock. Okay. Giving it lots of ink, and I'm going to put it down on its back now. I'm going to close this before we wreck it, right? Bring in your black marker. And now what you're going to do is just come in here and let's add black to the tires, the wheels. Okay, and there's a little bit right here under the fender and some right there. Side of the, what is that, a muffler? And then I even did some black right in here on this. Kind of looks like a beehive. I don't know what that is. It's the intake manifold. You still have many in and out glitches? I don't know why it's doing that. I've not had any phone calls. And I am like on the, you know, right by my, what is it? My thingy that you set up for your whatchadiddles, you know, for internet. Couldn't think of what that was. Okay, so I'm coloring the handle, I'm coloring the light. So just have some fun changing it up so that you have some peacock and some black here and there. Maybe even inside this. Okay, shut that. And now we're gonna stamp this on our white. I did a little huff action here so that invigorate that ink that had been sitting for just a second. Ooh, isn't that cool? All right, look at that. So we've got the black there. So fun. Okay, so we're gonna need to die cut those two pieces for sure. So let's see what we are die cutting for this. I'm gonna put some of my stamps out of the way here. Let's get our dies out. So we need the big motorcycle die. And look, I still have my tape on there. So just get that right where you like it. And let's do the same thing with the flames. We were having glitches at the beginning. Everybody had some glitches at the beginning. Okay, so we have those two. Now with our chrome, okay, so this is the pretty cool chrome stuff, right? We are going to just do, we have our this piece here. So what I want to do with this chrome is we're going to put this way down in here at the bottom, and we're going to cut 2 of these out. Okay, so from the shiny silver or chrome, let's do that kind of a rough cut here, right? So that we can cut that one out. So this is going to be for hers. So set that over there. We're going to do a full one on hers, and for his, we're going to make sure, and we can get the whole thing, but we're not using the whole thing. So I just wanted to make sure we had plenty for her. Okay, so we're going to die cut that. So not too much is happening here. So die cut wise, this is what we're going to do for right now. Just the 3, a little simpler than we've had on our first 2 cards. Okay, coming back in. Collect all our stuff. Look at that. I'm sorry. I think this is so fun. So fun. Okay. There's our flames. And here's our chrome, all the good stuff. Let's pop that off. Okay. Just set these back so that we know where they are, so they don't get lost. Okay, so let's finish the front of this card for sure here. Have to kind of move everything out of the way. Gosh, we haven't even assembled anything. Okay, so our card base is Pretty Peacock, and it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, so it's kind of one of those basics. Now, before we glue this on, I did do some definite, I had some fun with inking things up here. So let me just kind of share with you. So I don't know if you can see the difference between this piece and the one here. I have all these fun inked edges, okay? So take your garden green ink pad, and we're gonna do direct to paper, and we're just gonna kind of brush. And if you get something like that, that's what you're going for, okay? Not all over, but just some places. It's just fun to get some, just gonna have some fun with it, maybe a little more over here. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do with that. And then I'm going to keep this out because we're gonna stamp the Authentic You, but it has Moody Mauve on it. Take that off. And we're just gonna stamp and kind of create our own background paper here. So let me just throw a piece underneath here. I only throw the piece underneath just so that it doesn't get quite so crazy here through the rest of stuff. So just kind of hold this upright, and let's just move and put this image in a bunch of places here. So we're just gonna create our own background paper, going off the edges, and you know, sometimes we're gonna stamp off, you know, so we get a couple different colors there. However, if you do go off the edge, don't then re-stamp, because then you're gonna have a funny line going through things, right? So I think I want a couple lighter ones here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stamp off. And we'll do a little bit there. Just have some fun, and we'll do a little one right in here. Okay, so just a quick fun background. Now we'll add this to our card base. Look at all that pretty daisy paper. I believe it's called Fresh as a Daisy. I look it up and then I can't even remember. Now, we're gonna do something a little different here. I am going to actually put this over, it's gonna have a right justification. Gonna put it all the way over here to this right side. just changing it up so it's not always center. There's that. Now our Karen, my dad is the coolest. You're funny. We're gonna take this and we're gonna trim it down just a little bit. So get your trimmer out. And you know, it doesn't have to be a specific amount. You just want to trim it off. You know, it looks like for me, 2 is gonna be good, 2 inches. You could use that somewhere if you'd like. We're not gonna use it today on our card. But now that that's ready, let's get out the dimensionals. We'll put a couple on there. And we will dimensional up our motorcycle. I'm gonna do 3. And we'll do the same thing and put our minis on here, but rather than the tip, I'm gonna do one there. And let's see if I can squeeze one right in there. Yes, so maybe not. I think it's good. Okay, so there is that. And in your small bags, we pulled out, we had silver twine or silver trim. We had the sweet sorbet, and you have 2 pieces of linen thread. And each of these are for these last 2 cards. So grab one of them, they're the same size, and grab your Pretty Peacock Stampin' Blend or a dark greenish blue blend. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to color our thread here. And I'm just gonna do, and it doesn't matter if you're using dark Pretty Peacock or light. It's all good either way. Okay, so we're gonna do this on both of the cards. The other card, we're gonna do it with wild wheat, but you could do it with crushed curry or a lemon, you know, a lemon colored, yellow color of some sort. It's all good. They can be similar. They don't have to be exactly the same. Anyway, get some ink on there and then take your scratch paper and pull your twine through, your linen thread, twine. It's all the same stuff, right? But I'm just pulling it through so that it's not gonna bleed onto anything, right? I think every girl thinks their dad is the coolest. That's right, that's right. Okay, now we're gonna take this, and I have it folded in half. I've lost all my pieces here. And I'm just going to pop this through that reinforcer. And, okay. Now, if you like those pieces straight like that, that's good. Or if you want them to have a little bit of curl, just find something like a pencil or whatever, and just take your linen thread and wrap it around. And there's something about the linen thread and whatever is in these Stampin' Blends that it will hold curl. So, you know, we just did a little curling action for our dads, right? It's okay. I just didn't want it so bone straight, and it'll loosen up a little bit. But there's that. And we're going to, if you're wondering how I've curled my ribbon, that's exactly how I did it. So there's that piece there. We need our metal plate. Now, our metal plate is actually going to come over to this left justification. So it's going to go over there. And it's going to be down probably about 3/8 of an inch below our tag. And this is on with glue. Okay, so right about there. This stuff, I'm sorry, I just love, love, love this. I mean, it's great on the white, but I really like it on these silver foils, this metal folder. Oh. Okay, so now we're gonna set our motorcycle right in here. Okay. And our flame is not coming out the back. It could if you want, but I thought it was a little bit more interesting up in here. Okay, and then you can separate these. See, they just look more like the flames when they've got a little curl to them and they're not bone straight. And I'm gonna trim my ends. There we go. Now for this, let me bring my original in here. And I've got little bent piece. What I did for this, oh, I actually colored the seat on this one. Missed that. I guess I could cut out a seat if I wanted. That would be cool. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, so for this, what I want to do is I just wanted to show more of the stamping. So what I did is I just took off this back fender and I wanted these two fenders to match. So to do that, we'll just kind of do like what we've been doing, but I came in just a little bit. I came right into here. And I also took off, whoops, this piece right here. So I just kind of took off that. Okay, so you can see what I removed. Well, if I can hold it still and not pull it across things. So you see where I removed it. I'm trying to bring this piece up. So right in there, I just took that off. And I'm gonna glue it right on. And this needs to poke out. We've got some hanging on pieces here. So let's just poke all these out. Okay. All right. And we'll glue this on. And I'm just, you know, in some of these spots where there's a little more surface area, adding just a little bit of glue. Okay. And we'll align that with the stamped image. Oh, shoot, you know what? I did take off this as well. Oh, I took off even more. So I took off the handle, just like we were using that, and that we should have used that in the first card. And I took the lights off so that the stamping would show. Yeah. That would be a smart way to do things, is to create it such that you're using that on a second card. That way you're not having to double cut. Okay, but they're totally stuck to me. Okay, so there is our front. We're almost done. We have a little bit more to do to the front. And that is, now who would have thought that the boho blue dots here would look so good? But that's what I've used here, is the boho blue. And they just kind of pick up the lighter tones in this brushed paper here. I've lost my, oh, there it is. It was hiding. My hobby blade here. So I'm gonna do a small and the medium right here. And we'll do the large down here on the bottom. Right there. Okay, and this one I need to move over just a skosh. Better. Once you have them where you like them, give them a good little push. And there's the front. If you want to add some Wink of Stella, you could. And since I didn't color my seat on this one, I could even go in and maybe I have some scrap here. That might look cool to have a seat out of that. I might do that afterwards. Okay, so there's that. Now we have some fun stuff going on the inside of this card. First, notice that it's the same orientation. We're going to put it off to the right side. Jolinda Tresner, calf scours are a bit gross. What? I'm going to have to go back and read the comments. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do the same direct to paper technique with my ink pad. Okay, and let it be wild and crazy. There's that. Keep your green pad handy because we're not quite done. We're going to take and glue this inside our card base, and then we'll be doing some stamping. Okay, so now this is going to go, and you're going to put that right on that right edge there, just like we did the front of the card. Okay, like so. Okay, so I'm just kind of mimicking what's on the front, right? So with this piece here that's left over, I'm going to add that to the inside, kind of like we did with the metal plate. We had it over on the left side. Well, we're going to put this one over on the left side, but before I do it, I am going to just give it a little ink on the edges here, and that's really wet right there. So I just blotted it on my scratch paper. But I do want it to kind of, it just helps it to show up just a little bit more and match that other piece. And so this, like I say, I've got really wet ink right there. Trying to avoid that. Okay, I'm really curious about this conversation that Valerie and Jolinda have going. Okay, so this is just going to kind of come down towards the bottom a little bit. And yes, it's off. It doesn't go all the way. It was intentional. Now, here comes like my most favorite part of this whole class. Isn't it silly? So with your small motorcycle, you're going to ink up in Garden Green. And I am going to bring in some scratch paper here. So ink up in Garden Green and, whoops, just get ink everywhere. I mean, look at me. So at least make it so that it's dry. So I'm just going to rub it into my skin here. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to practice on scratch paper here, but you're going to take your stamp and then you're going to drag backwards to make it look like it's peeling out, okay? So we need sound effects. So you've got to pull backwards even though it looks like it's going forward. So I'm going to do that right about where my paper is and then just pull back. Nice. Is that not fun or what? The simplest thing ever. And I was like, yes, so fun. Okay, now we have some definite inking techniques that we're going to do here. We're going to do, instead of ride on, it's your birthday, we're going to do ride on, you are legendary. So a little bit different here. So let's take the legendary. We're going to work that one first. You are legendary. So let's clean the stamp first. Give it a good clean. Make sure it's really clean. Now, the one thing I will say, it is harder to clean red rubber than it is to clean photopolymer. So we're going to ink up Legendary in Pretty Peacock. Karen. Isn't it the simplest things are sometimes so funny? So I'm going to work and just try and ink up Legendary and not get the UR. Okay, so I've got my Scotch tape handy if I need to do some masking. But I'm going to put this kind of right up on the edge. Okay. There's Legendary. Now we're going to clean this and use the black marker to do just the UR. And this is where photopolymer would really come in handy because then you know exactly where you're landing with your images. It's a little bit like going in blind here when you're using red rubber, but if I totally blow it, what I'll do afterwards is just go in and put a label over it until I get it right. Okay, so ink up the UR in the black, and I'm aiming that for over the gend of legendary. Okay, hope for the best. It's not perfect, but it's good. It's good. It's not A+, but it's good. Now let's take the ride on, it's your birthday, and let's get it good and clean, and then we'll just ink up, and this is where I'm probably going to have to use a piece of Scotch tape in order to cover up the it's your birthday. I just thought it was fun. It's always fun to look at your stamps and say, okay, what other greetings can I make with the sayings that are in here? So I'm doing one piece that's longer, and then I'm going to do a shorter piece. And I think what I did before is I actually just did a little curve action here so that I could get in there and get the it's your, and I did too much curve action. I can see. So now see how I've gotten it too high on there? Just use your thumb to just kind of pull back on this. And it looks like I need to trim some away. Yeah, I got too much tape in there, so hold on. It was on a roll. We were moving along. Let me just get some of that off. Just gonna get my scissor in here. But it's all just, you know, a chance to kind of look at things and give yourself new greetings. Okay. I think I got most of that out of the way. Now go back to your pretty peacock and ink up your Ride On. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now the reason I put that one bigger one on the bottom, because then it would pull everything off at the same time. Okay, I'll give a little huff on this. And what I have found is if I line up the legendary underneath the word birthday, it's pretty good. Okay, so you might want to practice that on scratch paper, but there you have it. His version, number 2, is finished with, we think, the coolest detail right there, okay? Peeling out. That's the technique. We'll call it peeling out. Okay, now for her, very, very similar layout. Well, exact same layout, but similar details, but it'll go a little bit faster. So with hers, I didn't do all the you know, hitting the edges of the paper. I kept it cleaner. But take your daisy paper, and again, it's 4 by 6. We're going to take it down to 4 by 5.5. So you have that little piece there. We'll use that. And everything else is cut and ready to go for this one. So we have a layer here. It's going to go off to the side. And my layer, I need to trim a little bit more off. Hold on while I trim just a skosh more off. Okay, my card base is a little bit short. Close, but no cigar, right? Okay, so this piece will go off to the side just as it did in our his version. No distressing though this time. So we'll put that on, just get things out of the way. And when I mean get things out of the way, it's like just kind of get some of the pieces attached so they don't get lost. Because you saw how easy it is for me to lose pieces. What did Jackie say? A mountain of mess? Okay, so there's that. Now we'll take our metal plate, same thing as it was before. Okay, only this time it's going to be maybe just a little bit higher. And how you're going to tell where you're going to place this one, if you grab your tailor-made tag, it's going to kind of go up towards the top here. So that's about where I'm going to put that. Okay, so it's not quite in the middle, but, you know, kind of gives you an idea. I used my tag because my tag I kind of want like that. But, okay, so that's kind of where the tag is going to go. Speaking of tag, let's get it prepped and ready. So in your smalls bag, you have your second little reinforcer. So your second little green reinforcer just goes right here. Just like it did on the dad card. Dad, you're the coolest. I don't know that I've ever seen my dad peel out. I know I've never seen him peel out on a motorcycle. But I don't think I've ever seen him peel out in a car either. No burning rubber. Okay, so this one, we're going to do some slightly different, we're going to just kind of change the orientation of our greeting. And our greeting for this card is going to be Classic You, Since Forever. What a good mom card or a good friend card. Okay, so Classic Authentic You, Since Forever. And so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to put the stamp on its back. I was looking at the ink pad. And I'm just going to, I could put a piece of tape on there to make it easy. Or you can just try and ink up the side. You know, this Since Forever. But I'm going to start with the Since Forever. And what I like to do is just kind of get in there and get down on those letters so you don't pick up any of that. And hopefully I don't. So I'm just inking up mostly the Since Forever. Okay. Peel that tape off. Give a little huff on it. And this is going to stamp at the very bottom of our tag. Cute. Okay. And now I'm going to clean that. And this time I'm going to cover up the Since Forever and we'll ink up the Classic Authentic You. Okay. So you could use your black marker if you wanted. If you didn't want to use your ink pad, there's another way you can do it. But so Scotch tape, I keep that nearby too. I keep my Scotch tape and my washi tape and all those other tapes nearby. Okay, so that just stretches across the top. So Classic Authentic You, Since Forever. I think it was just kind of fun to separate it and, you know, change up the look of what you're doing. Okay, so I'm also, since I have my cleanup pad out, I'm going to clean up the motorcycles here because we're going to stamp them a little different. Just dropped a whole image here on my hand. Clean up my fingers. Okay, so you can close your ink pad, get rid of that one, and we can close Peacock. And I'm going to actually close this one. So what I'm going to reach for next is crushed curry. So I'm trying to bring out the crushed curry in these daisies, okay? So we're going to be doing some work here. Our pieces that were in your kit, you have a piece of white, that's for our motorcycle. We trimmed that off. Your large piece of white is for the inside. And then I have die cut you the daisy. So this is the large image from the Cheerful Daisies bundle. And these actually they're part of the suite with the paper. Love, love, love these dies. Holy cow, are they amazing or what? I don't know if you guys have taken a look at them or if anybody has them, if you like them. I think they're fabulous. Okay, with your water painter here, I am not going to do too much. In fact, I'm going to do very little. But I do want to give my daisies just a little bit of color on the inside. So with my water painter and the crushed curry, I'm doing just a little bit of action here, not much, on the inside of these daisies. And we're doing it now so it has a little time to dry. We'll do this little right there. Okay, so that much, keeping it easy, just a little yellow to the insides of those. And we're gonna set these aside to dry, okay? Keep your crushed curry out because we're gonna do some stamping. Okay, and our stamping for this one, we're gonna ink up the image of the motorcycle. We're gonna ink it up fully in crushed curry. Oh, come on, pad. So get this guy nice and inked up. Okay, and now we'll take our black marker, get rid of some of this stuff. Black marker, kind of like we did on the other one. We're gonna get the tires. Okay. And you're going to want to put a couple of layers of black color in here. Okay, color over it a couple times. And let's get this back tire as well. Really get in there. And you could even kind of clean that off if you're getting a lot of yellow. But whenever you're using like a technique like this, you always want to start with your lighter color and then come in with your darker color. You guys know that. That's kind of no-brainer, right? So I'm just trying to get this tire the best I can. Tire, wheel, whatever. But go in there, give it lots of color. And let's see, in my original here, I did the light. Just to highlight that. I did the handle of the handlebars, the grip or whatever this is. And I also did the seat and this backlight. Got a backlight there, And then we'll do the seat. And I even did the inside of the gas tank. Okay, so, and then right in here. And I got a little out of the lines, but that's okay. That's okay. Now take this, and we're gonna huff on this. Stamp it down here at the bottom. Whoops, look at that. Pretty cool. Even though my ink kind of bled right there, I think it still looks great. So we're going to die cut that with the open die that we've been using. I'm just cleaning off my plate from the last time it went through. So here's this. So the open die. You love the daisy dies. Yeah, they're pretty fun. I've done some stuff with them, but just a few cards. I haven't done like a nice where you sit down and you just kind of really do a lot so you can kind of check out all the bits and pieces and the stamps. I haven't really taken a deep dive into it just yet. Now, if you remember, we cut out a piece of, we did kind of a rough chop of that last little bit of our shiny chrome, the silver foil. So we're going to cut this one. So we're going to use the whole piece on this one. And that is it. That's all the die cutting for this one. So this one's going to go a little faster. Let me get that on better. Okay, so run that through. Whoa. Mine slid. Sorry, I have to back up. And it wouldn't have cut the whole piece out. My next order, I'm getting plates. You know what else I need new? I need a new pair of snips. My snips just aren't cutting the way they used to, if you know what I mean. You guys ever have issues with that? Okay, here's our silver chrome, whatever you want to call all this, all the fun stuff. Here's this die. Okay, and then we have our motorcycle. Awesome. Okay, now let's start to put it all together. So here is what we're aiming for. Here are our partial pieces. So I'm going to set this is for the inside. I'm going to set that aside for now. But let's look at this. So let's put our tag on. We're going to put our tag on with dimensionals. I want big dimensionals. Minis would work, but it would take us a while. That's no fun. So I'm just going to do like 5 on here to kind of balance things out. So we'll put that down first. Okay. And it's going to set over in here, just kind of like that. Just make sure it's straight. And now we'll put our motorcycle, not yet, sorry, I cheated, I lied. This, we want this lovely daisy piece here. We're gonna dissect it a little bit. So I'm gonna clip off, yeah, see, this is where I need some new snips is what I was saying. Okay, so new snips and new plates. So I have my leaves there, and I'm actually gonna just separate all these pieces. Now, these pieces, you could leave them all as one, but I kind of want to rearrange them a little different than the way they are here. So I have my big flower, but I need to come in and just clean off these little tabs that connect it. So I'm just cleaning up the die. Again, explore your dies and see, you know, you don't have to keep them as they send them. Be creative. And chop them up. Okay, so there are my pieces. So I'm actually going, this one's gonna kind of come over here. The leaves are gonna tuck under there. This big daisy, let's put this big daisy on first. And what I did is I just did some glue kind of right in here. I didn't want the petals glued down. I wanted them to kind of spring up a little bit naturally. So this kind of comes in here and it's off to the left and it kind of cuts in and frames that A just a little bit, okay? And you can poke all those out if you want. For time's sake, I just didn't do it for now. It's okay, they can be there. They won't hurt anything. A little glue on the leaves. Tuck them right in there. Fun, but I think I want the leaf behind the daisy. So I'm just gonna pull this petal forward. And once this daisy kind of sets up, I'm gonna kind of, you know, play with the dimension just a little bit. This daisy, little glue here, is plenty. And it kind of just tucks over here. Oh, hello. My fingers are sticky. Can you tell? Okay, and then this one, kind of just right in here. It's gonna get covered up quite a bit, but we're just adding a little bit of daisy character down over here. Oh, Stella's out of stock? It'll be back. It will be back. Gotta have some Stella. Okay, so there are those daisies. Now let's put dimensionals on the back. I'm gonna do 3 just like we have been. Okay, squish these on. I think this is my favorite of all the cards. Now I'm lining this up and I don't see as much yellow. Oh, you know what? I know why I'm not seeing as much yellow. I just turned it around 180 degrees so that the yellow would show just a little bit more. Yeah, that's better right there. Okay, so here's this motorcycle right in there. Now let's put this on. I'm not gonna trim. I am gonna trim. I'm gonna trim off the light. So this one's gonna be easy. We're just gonna take off the light in front. I'm gonna take off the little handle grip. Come on, clip off. There we go. See what I mean? My snips just aren't snipping very well. A little bit of glue here and there. Okay, now we'll add this and just align this with the stamp image. And it just kind of brings things to life, if you know what I mean. Look how cool that is. You didn't have to add it, but that little added detail of the silver foil, AKA chrome, really, it makes that fun. Okay, your second piece of linen thread, we're gonna do the same exact thing we did on our last card, and that was to take a blend. And so I am using wild wheat here. You could use crushed curry or daffodil delight. You know, you could use a bright yellow, would be fun. But I think it's fun to change up my linen thread. I did a bunch of it earlier this week on some other things. Having been inspired by this, all of the cards we did here with the coloring of the linen thread. You just have to get it on the linen thread. It does change the texture a little bit of the linen thread, but it's fun. It's fun. Try it. Just be gentle with your tip. Okay, so once you've got your thread colored, I fold a piece of paper and pull it through just to kind of get so that the ink doesn't bleed onto your stuff. Years ago, I don't know if any of you guys remember, we would put our finger in the ink pad and pull the linen thread through to ink it up, but it never would dry fully and it would wick into the paper. The Stampin' Blends will dry. They do not wick. So, okay, now I'm just gonna run this through right here. And for this, I'm just gonna tie a bow. So nothing fancy. Okay, my ends are not very even, but close enough. Just a simple little bow, but it's a bow, And the linen thread color would be okay, but it's just fun to give it just a little bit more hint of color in this thread. Just kind of changes it up. I had it on and then I took it off and colored it and went, that's exactly what it needed. Okay, so there's that. Give a little color or a little curl to them with your thumbnail. And I'll trim this end off. Okay, so there's that. The last of our dots are gonna go on the front here. These are the wild wheat dots from these in color dots. I really like these. They're kind of fun. They're big. You use them a little bit, you know, a little different than you might some of our others. Okay, so I'm taking my big one. I'm doing a big one there and the small right there. And then we'll do the medium right there. There it is. Okay, and then you can wink of Stella this, but for time, I'm just gonna move into the inside here and let's just do our inside quickly. It's gonna be a little faster than the last one that we did. So let's take our paper. We're not gonna distress the edges. We're just gonna glue it in place. Little stamping, a little DSP, and a slightly different technique than the peel out technique that we did on the his version. We're gonna have it driving away. We're gonna give it motion, but it's gonna be a little more tame, a little bit more ladylike. I don't know, that's pretty funny because I'm not always so ladylike. Okay, so let's see here. Let's take our DSP and I'm gonna glue on the blue side. And just like the his version, I'm gonna set this off. Oops, I think I'm gonna go this way. Daisy looks a little better going up. Set this off to the side a little here. Now we're gonna use crushed curry on our motorcycle. Give it a clean. Okay, make sure it's good and clean. Bring out crushed curry, and I'm gonna lightly stamp off this because I don't want the crushed curry to be quite so intensely dark. I just really want my greeting to pop off of it. So just lightly stamp off. And this time when we stamp it, okay, we're going to stamp it. It's been a minute, so I'm gonna huff on it. We're gonna stamp it once, and now just pick it up and move it slightly back, stamp it again, move it slightly back, and stamp it again, okay? So motion, you know, we got a little more stop motion here. I kind of like the peel out technique, but here's kind of that motion technique, but a little different. So just to give you some different ideas of things you can do, bring in your black pad one last time, and we'll stamp You Are Legendary, okay? And we're gonna stamp that just right on top. Okay. Nice. I like layering images and doing things like that. It's kind of fun. Okay, there you have it. We have 2 for him, 2 for her, using similar layouts and ideas. So here's 2 for her. Well, one was already made, so I should go like that. There we go. Here is the his version. Okay. Same elements, just slightly rearranging things on this one. And then our other version that we did of his and her, we really changed up the same elements, but kind of changed things around. So hopefully you've learned something new today, gotten some ideas, been, you know, I think you know, be creative. Don't worry about mixing things. If they seem like they're really opposites, like motorcycles and daisies, look how well they do work. So find things that you can easily juxtapose and have some fun with. Okay, folks, tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Zoom room, and you know the number and the password. So join me there. We'll have some more fun. If you have questions, we can definitely answer things and work through some of the different things. And if you just want to talk about other favorite things that are new or want to know more about photopolymer stamp sets, Kathleen, whatever, come join me tomorrow night. It will be fun to have you there. Have an awesome day, folks. Bye-bye.